welcome back everybody. Back on the Iron Sermon episode 4. We got Manos de Fierro out of the Bay Area. We're gonna be
What's
doing some
good?
questions with them today. We got Kane and then
We got iPhone 2.
iPhone 2.
We got iPhone
Kane and
2. No,
iPhone
I'm at,
2.
y'all can call me Migz. Everybody calls me Migz.
Migs. We got Migs here. All right, so for those that don't know, who is Manos de Fierro and what are y'all all about?
Manos de Fierro is a band out of San Leandro, California. From the East Bay area. We started in I want to say, was it like what, like late 20, no, early 2022, maybe late 2021 or something like that, right,
It
Kane?
was like late. It was like late 2021 because that was when the band was kind of in its proto stages, like before we actually became Manos de Fierro. But I mean, it was you and me still.
Right,
So
and so me and Kane actually originally had this band called Over Earth, like that we were gonna do, and it was on some more like I feel like Trapped Under Ice type riffs, and then we ended up doing this band that would have been called Body Shots, that was gonna be fucking Manos de Fierro now. I think that's around when we started though. We had a different name, but we started around that time. I think we were all like pretty fresh out of high school. I
Yeah.
must have been like I must have been like 18, I think, at the time, or like,
yeah, it
like
was about you. You were fresh out of high school. I was still in high
yeah, you were
school.
still in high school. Right, yeah, you were
That's
still in
cool.
high
That's cool.
school. And then Max, our drummer, he's actually 17 now. He's actually really fucking great. But when I met him, he was 12 years old, and we
Yeah,
met.
that
I
was
did a
fucking
punk show at
crazy.
my backyard. I did a punk show in my backyard with his band, Iron Front, and they're from the East Bay, from like Berkeley and Oakland. But yeah, we did a show in my backyard, and I was like, dude, this kid's hella cracked. Like, we should get him in a band or something.
We annoyed him into joining our band.
And
Yeah,
it
we
worked.
fucking like did it.
Yeah, I mean that's cool, especially at a young age to be able to do something like this.
Yeah, dude, that kid's hella talented, man. Like fucking easily like one of the best in Cali. Like that's like without a doubt, really fucking talented ass kid. Um, so yeah, man, East Bay. That's all I gotta say.
Where'd the name come from? The band name. What
Um,
inspired it?
That's like so originally after Body Shots, we kind of still wanted to we weren't really in love with that name 100% and we got a lot of new members. Like we had Max on drums now. We got that's when right when we right when we got Gerald to start playing bass. Um and when we got Eli on second guitar and stuff like that. So we needed to breathe a little new life into the band. And I was trying
I
to think of
remember
names, and I was like,
I remember you said Manos de Piedra at first, which is Hands of Stone,
yeah, I did.
and then I
And
was
also, and
like,
then I was like, I was trying to kind of come up with something that I don't know, gave off the impression that it was definitely like violent music, and it's supposed to
Yeah.
be like,
Foo
um,
Violence.
mm-hmm.
yeah, well, exactly. So I was thinking of that, and then I was like, you know what? No, that one also doesn't really roll off the tongue so well. And then
Yeah.
Miguel suggested Manos de Fierro,
Which
and so
is
that's where,
Hands of Steel,
Yeah.
of Iron. And I was like, that sounds a little better than Stone. I mean, Steel is harder than Stone, right? So
Yep. Yep.
fuck it. That's what I was
that was
saying.
his logic. That was his
That was
logic
the
there. That's how
logic.
he
That was the
explained it to
logic that
me.
used, right? I don't fucking know.
That's pretty
Um,
badass. So being from like the East Bay side, how did that music scene when y'all first started kind of shape y'all's music to what it is like now?
Oh, that's a good question, bro. Honestly, I love that question. Okay. For me personally, I'll say that when I started coming around to hardcore shows, is definitely like right around the pandemic.
Hmm.
So I would say that the pandemic hella blew up hardcore, and I had already fucked with hardcore from like the East Coast. I already fucked with like hella like old school hardcore, like 25 to Life, Madball, fucking
uh,
just about everybody from that area really. And fucking I had already fucked with that shit, but I was like, dude, like there's no like fucking hardcore scene. And there was actually. I'm completely fucking wrong. At least when I was younger, there was already a scene. There used to be a venue called the Burnt Ramen in Richmond, which is also in the East Bay, and they've had hardcore shows going on since the early 2000s. But that was all like old, that's like all like old era. I would say
Yeah.
old era East Bay. And then when I started coming around, there was just no East Bay like punks. There was no fucking hardcore kids. There was like
Yeah,
barely any metalheads. It was really like Kane,
it,
maybe me and some of my old friends from high school, all the San Leandro, from San Leandro, right? So all the San Leandro like punks like that we like were all fucking, it's all my homies pretty much. And
yeah, it was. Yeah, sorry. I mean, just to add on to that, I think another huge part of that whole influence was not only was it like all of us and people just in our general age group trying to like build our own scene because we didn't really see a whole lot of that. Like most of,
Yeah.
there were plenty there like East Bay has a long history of like punk bands and metal bands and even a handful of good hardcore bands. But it's always been really difficult for people to like establish like a long running scene here. Like
Mhm.
but when we were first starting out and like before the hardcore shit really started popping off, like when we were just all in like punk and metal bands, most of the bands playing were like old head bands that would do like shows at like 21 plus venues. There was like nothing for
Yeah.
the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we started playing shows and stuff like that in our bands and whatnot, like Iron Front, our drummer's other band, and those guys are the homies. That was huge for the kids in
Yeah.
our scene because like that was a lot of people's first exposure to things like death metal and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I can comfortably say that like I fell in love with them the first time I saw them play. So it was a lot of stuff like that. But definitely like our scene is very informed by like very old school punk and a lot of metal, definitely.
Yeah.
Right on. Hell yeah. They
Um, the
uh
No Mames and Chinga Tu Madre have intense energy. Those songs. What was the inspiration behind those tracks?
Shit, behind No Mames, I feel like the inspiration, um, honestly, overall, I would say was I just wanted to write like a retarded ass death metal song, and I was like, I just want to make Manos de Fierro like low key, like just everything I'm influenced by, like whether it's
Yeah.
fucking like old school death metal and fucking hardcore, and even some newer releases I've been pretty inspired by. Like I was really fucking with like I was like really fucking with Volcano. It's like a band I really fuck with. Um, and I remember I was listening to a minute and I was like, oh yeah, they're like hella brutal and shit. And I was just on an old school death metal wave too. And so I was like, honestly, like I just want to write some retard shit. And then I remember me and the homie Eli. Eli was like just came up with this crazy riff that he was gonna do for his original death metal band called Demora from around the same era of all the punk bands and metal bands we were doing. And he was like, dude, I could write a sick ass like Demora type riff for Monos. Like, what do you think? And I was like, yeah, I'm fucking down. Do some shit, bro. Like, just do it. So then I wrote the little breakdown thing, and we just like felt pretty good on that. I remember when we first wrote that, we were like, damn, like this is like unlike some shit I've really ever heard on other bands. I would say it's pretty unique. And then the Chinga inspiration was like, I think we just hella ripped fucking Madball. Like we
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
fucking
There was a huge thing going on with like well, No Mames ended up being really slammy. That's like our one like
Yeah.
kind of like very brutal, like slammy, very like immediately kind of death metal song. Like we have another one that's like it, like Fatal Fury from the
Yeah.
first EP sounds very death metally, but that one's very like old school death metally because of how it kind of like meanders its way through. But No Mames is like fast and it hits you right in the face. And that was kind of I mean, we have the cheat code for that. Like our drummer's a metal drummer, so it was really easy to like, for at least from my perspective, it was easy for them to like fit their riffs on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
um also the sample for that on the album, I was on YouTube and I was on YouTube Shorts and I was like looking at this clip of like Canelo in this interview, and this dude's like, hey, fuck you, man, like fuck you. And he's like, Canelo's like, hey, get the fuck out of here because I'm going to fuck you out right now. And I was just like, bro, that's awesome. Like, yeah, I was like, fuck it, bro. And then yeah, for I would say for Chinga Tu Madre, yeah, just some old school hardcore, bro. I love my '90s New York shit, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really wanted to do that, so I think we just did that. And like lyric wise, I would say it was really just like let's just it's just all about the homies, just fuck everyone type shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
well, that's true. And when we recorded both the songs, at least when they were originally released, we recorded both those songs in like one night, and we were just drunk as fuck in the studio,
Oh, dude, we were
in the
hella
homie studio.
drunk.
Yeah, I wrote all the, well, that definitely they helped too, but I wrote all the lyrics in just like a drunken haze. I was just like, this shit sounds fire.
What
Yeah.
were y'all what were y'all drinking in there?
We were
Sipping
drinking
on
beers,
yeah, we were drinking beers. I remember I
tall
had
cans, right?
the
Didn't we have our
big,
tall
yeah,
cans?
I had the we had the big tall cans. I had one of malt liquor. I think I don't remember if I had like a Colt 45 or something like that, but
Yeah,
it
I
was
think
definitely one of those like shitty beer nights.
Like a
it was a
Yeah.
floppy
Schlitz
beer
or
night, bro.
something.
I think I might have been drinking fucking some lame shit, but low key it might have just been Modelo, watermelon, fucking that
Oh
fuck
yeah, the Miche.
that Miche, yeah.
Ah.
But I fuck with Miches, they're good. But like,
I definitely was too. I definitely
yeah,
had a Miche or two as well.
I think we were drinking Miches too. So we're on
There
some,
was a lot going on.
yeah.
So for you were saying that you were still like in high school when y'all started playing. How was
Yeah.
that like kind of how did that shape your school and practice and doing shows, stuff like that? Like, did y'all for y'all's first show, did y'all ever have something like a ritual like that y'all would do before a show? Like, do y'all still have something that y'all do, and what is it?
Well, when I was in, to answer the first part of the
Mm,
question, like how being in high school and being in a band at the same time kind of shaped things is that it like I've kind of put my whole like everything into doing Manos and like focusing a lot on that. And we would just play like a lot of bands, we just play like any bill that people offered us just
mm,
to get the exposure. So we were playing a lot of shows at the beginning, or at least it kind of like it started like here and then very quickly like took off, and we were just
yeah.
playing like a bunch of random shit, a bunch of mixed bills. On the flip side of that though, I feel like my my school life kind of suffered a little bit just because I could not force myself to give a fuck about it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did eventually, I locked in, but I was very focused on all the music stuff.
Mhm.
I would say some of the first shows we played were actually like really okay. I say this a lot, but Monos was low key like a punk band, bro. Like it was a punk band when we first started, not music wise, but really the way we carried ourselves wise. Like we
The
just
ethos.
yeah, bro. The
Yeah.
ethos was just like let's go play. Like I booked this show in my hometown that nobody even fucks with like hardcore. Now I've seen kids with like fucking power violence shirts and I've seen punk bands and like grindcore shirts. I'm like that's dope. Like that's whatever. That's cool, man. But like I just did a show one time in like San Leandro, like in a fucking abandoned ass like area,
Mhm.
and we just did a little renegade show. Like house pulled up and fucking they're like, yeah, we're not gonna shut you down. We'll actually give you like another hour to play. And we're like, the fuck? I bet I'm down. Like the fuck. We've also played like fucking backyards, bro. We've done like a bunch of like little DIY punk shit when we first started, and then yeah, I think East Bay was still like in its baby phase, so it's still very much punk and metal, and we were still playing punk and metal like mixed bills, like Kane said. So we did that, and then I remember I hit up Danny one time, the homie who runs RNRG, and I was like, dude, you should book Monos for a hardcore show because I think you would really fuck with it. And
And
he
the
was like,
funniest part about it, he booked us on like a hardcore punk ass bill. Like he
yeah,
did not know what we sounded like at all because
yeah,
we hadn't dropped any music at that point.
yeah,
So he was just kind of guessing.
yeah, yeah,
And
man.
then as soon as we started playing, he was like, "Okay, I fucked up."
Yeah,
uh
so I would say that's how it started. Then he started ramping us up a little bit, started putting us on some shows here. We played with one of our first like real hardcore gigs was like with CDC and
That was dope.
Mastiff and these streets
These
from
streets,
Modesto. And
forlorn.
we did that show, and Mastiff actually has members from San Leandro, my hometown, and they were in bands before. They were in a band called Loose None. They were in a band called On a Warpath, some old school 2000s beatdown shit, like hella fucking fire. And I
Yeah.
really had no idea that anybody out of San Leandro even made a cool band. Like their band is like really well known to a lot of old heads and a lot of new school now, I would say.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool.
So
Yeah,
with
and the
doing a lot
other
of those DIY shows, what was kind of like y'all's craziest experience with that? Because like I know it's got to be way different playing in a backyard than
Setting
being
up
on
and
a
everything.
stage.
Mhm.
The energy's got to just be like so much different. What's some like crazy shit y'all have seen?
I wouldn't even say we really saw anything crazy
Hmm.
because I was
the craziest shit we've seen hasn't even been at house shows, to be honest. Like those are definitely like the craziest like crowds usually just because of the space. Like, you'll
Hmm.
have like it's like I'd say it's like pretty standard to have like people like jumping off furniture and tables and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And kind of just like making a mess of someone's living
Yeah.
room or like their backyard or some shit like that. But honestly, the craziest, like most smoked out, like, the stories that you tell in interviews, like most of that was like the actual, like, like well promoted, like real venue gigs.
Hmm.
And there's just some crazy shit going on outside or something like that, or like a fight breaks out. Honestly, I've not been at a house show where a fight broke out.
Wow.
yeah, I
Or
would say
a
the
fight
house
broke
shows
out.
the house shows weren't that crazy. They were like just out, and that's because there was no and not I don't want to say enjoyment. That's not the right word, but there was just no like there was no crowd for hardcore yet in East
Nah.
Yeah.
Bay. There was not actually a hardcore crowd yet at all. Everybody was like hella new to this shit. So I feel like we were kind of like I don't want to say we pioneered anything, but we really just brought like hardcore back and like in our area.
Hmm.
And so then hella fools were like, "Whoa, this is hella crazy! Like this is dope." And then that's when we started just doing the bigger shows. So the craziest things I've seen have definitely been at more organized shows. One of the fucked up ones is like some fuck. Oh, we actually did a show in San Francisco
Mm.
on New Year's Day, and like it was a pretty active show to say the least.
Yeah, that one was kind
Yeah,
of crazy. That was Garo's last show. They're like very instrumental in bringing back the whole like hardcore thing
Hmm.
to the East Bay. But that show was definitely like everyone was fucked up. Like because was it free?
it was a free show on New Year's Day.
Oh yeah.
So everyone,
Oh
like
yeah.
everyone, even if people were fucked up from the day before, they came and got fucked up again on New Year's Day, and everyone was just acting a fool. And things got out of hand here and there, but it ended up being a really really fun show.
I'll say this before just to close it off. The single handedly craziest thing I've ever fucking seen in my entire life. I seen Gulch play in Oakland under the
Mm.
bridge like 5 years ago or like 4 years ago, and it was fucking hella crazy. There must have been at least like 800 people maybe, and it was like fresh out of COVID, bro. So it was like
Mm.
fucking hella insane.
People
And
were
I got shot at.
rabid.
I got shot at that night, bro. Like I did. I got
Wow.
shot at, bro. Like some fucking and this is the fucked up part from what I know, right? The promoters who did that show were not from the Bay, and they booked this crazy LA to the Bay type gig. So it was LA bands and Bay bands playing, and it was just hella fucking rowdy. It was like fucking crazy. Like cars were exploding, sofas and furniture were on fire, and it was at a homeless encampment, which is pretty fucked up. But
Holy crap.
yeah, at the homeless encampment, the fucking one of the families is like pulling up in their pickup truck. They're like fucking passing by the whole crowd hella slow. And then fucking like fools just walk up, start tagging their shit, bro. Start fucking like spray painting their fucking car, fucking like markering their shit, bro.
Yeah,
But
people came out of the pandemic and just had like no idea how to act at all. So they were
bro, it
just
was
like some
hella
crazy shit's
crazy,
going on.
dog.
Let's
And so they're passing by and they look fucking scared, bro. Like they look dead ass scared, and I felt bad. And then like a fucking like maybe like 2 minutes later, some other bro in a pickup is like moving hella quick, bro. And fools start getting out the way, and then he starts shooting at the floor. He's like, "Fuck wrong with y'all?" Bop, bop, bop. Starts fucking shooting at the floor and shit. And I was just like, "Yo, what the fuck? Like this is insane, bro. Like this is fucked up." Like that's like single handedly the craziest show I've ever been to ever.
Man.
A lot of people could vouch.
Mm.
Mm.
Well, I guess next we'll talk about what does your writing process look like? Do y'all start with riffs or you do the drums first or how's it go?
It's riff based for sure.
Okay.
Like I think we're very fortunate to I say as the vocalist who writes none of the riffs, but we're very fortunate to have like I said, again, Max on drums because not a lot of bands like I don't know. As far as I'm aware, like a lot of bands do start from the riffs
Yeah.
and kind of like either struggle to find drum parts or they start with the drums and then kind of just build off that. But like Max can sort of fit his style into whatever these guys want to write. So they'll just write something and we kind of go from there. Honestly, the last thing that ends up getting added is lyrics. Like I kind of um I go into like a fugue state, and then within like a few days or like over the course of like a couple weeks, all the lyrics get written towards the end of the writing process.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say the riffs come first. Eli usually will fucking stem out on a fucking riff. He'll just like bring it to practice and like, dude, I have this riff, and then we'll argue for like 30 minutes probably. That's actually
It's
happened in the
longer than
past.
that. It's
It's happened,
longer than that.
yeah, what argue for like an
You'll
hour
argue for
straight.
like 2 weeks about the riff. It's like, nah, bro, you're playing it wrong.
Like argue over a fucking stupid ass riff, and then we're like won't go to practice, and then we'll come back to practice, and we're like, okay, bet, let me cook, and then we come back like hella crazy, and we'll have like some like just start like throwing riffs on top of riffs. Like, homie will come up with one, I'll add on to his riff, he'll come up with another one, I'll throw up another one, and then like Kane said, Max will throw in his style and just fucking mix it all together like really well. So that's usually how I'd say the writing process goes.
Nice.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
then for like y'all's new album, what was kind of y'all's goal like or message like reaching out to fans with the newest album?
Wait,
I mean, I can.
what was the question? Sorry, somebody was talking to me.
No, for y'all's newest album, like what was kind of y'all's goal with it and or like message to push out to like fans?
I'd say the goal of it was to come up with something we felt really happy with because we had
Mhm.
written our EP in 2023 and we had been in I would say like a little bit of a writer's block for a minute. Like we had some of those
A
songs
big
like
time.
written and they just weren't like up to par with what we wanted to actually really like be. We were like very conflicted for a minute. And then
Yeah.
for a minute we like let those songs we stopped playing. We like played them live a few times and like fucking just played them like shit low key even and fucking
Yeah. I
pulled up on
mean,
stage. We like played it like hella shitty. We're like, oh fuck this, sucks.
I'd
But
say yeah, go no, go ahead,
I would
finish.
to finish my thought, I would really say that we came back to it and we really took our sweet ass time doing it because
Mhm.
we were like, let's just really put out something we're fucking happy with, and I think we got the result we wanted.
For sure.
That's what I would say.
Definitely, because you'll notice that like a lot, like No Mames and Chinga, both those songs came out on the little 2 song promo like
Yeah.
way before the album did. So we kind of it started off really strong because we finished those 2 songs, and then we kind of as we were trying to follow it up and write more songs to actually like make a whole album or like it was originally just going to be another EP. But um, we just weren't really happy. Miguel said we weren't really happy with anything that we wrote, and we kind of just we did. You'll go back to some like live videos of us playing like a year ago, and you'll see very early versions of a lot of the songs. Not all the songs, granted, but like a lot of the songs on the album, and they sound completely different.
Yeah.
Like riffs, structure, lyrics. Like there's some elements that we kept, and you can definitely pick that out, but it's a far cry from what it ended up becoming. We just wanted to, like you said, we wanted to make something that we were proud of, and we wanted to put on really hard for East Bay again. And I don't know, just that's it.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Who decided or came up with the idea for the album art for the new album?
I think
That
I
was
came
kind
up
of a
with that.
collective, also.
It was I think it was a little bit of me, my the homie Eli on guitar. I had came up with this idea that I wanted to have like a character of some sort at first, and I don't know if any of y'all fuck with Berserk, but
Yeah, he does.
there's this character named Nosferatu Zod. He's like a big fucking like demon character looking guy, and
Mhm.
we were like, let's just make him look like Nosferatu Zod from Berserk, but like lurking in an alley with like a big ass like butcher knife or something. And then we had the homie, I think it was like Restless Drawer. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Restless Draugr.
Draugr. Yeah. Oh, she is okay.
She did the so she did the Doomsday album art and or I think maybe their new album. I think their EP. And then she also did the Extinguish album art, and we saw both of that stuff, and we because we had tried where we hadn't tried out like too many other artists, but we were in debates, we were in like talks about it for a long time, just like we don't want it to be like too cartoony. We don't
Yeah.
want it because we're trying to make it look like kind of evil, kind of brutal, to like support the whole like metal side of things.
Yeah.
Um, and just our sound in general. So we were trying to figure out what was the best sort of like visual style to translate what we were thinking in our heads. And Eli and Miggs were talking about they wanted like a demon kind of character, and it came up. I actually don't remember whose idea it was to do like, oh, we want someone to like paint this fully. So we ended up, yeah, we ended up going with her, and she did a really good job. It was acrylics on canvas, and I mean, it took a little while, but it was definitely worth the wait.
For sure. For sure.
And then the homie Udi, shout out Udi from San Jose. He fucking
Big shout out.
great fucking artist, and he's done tons of art for our bands in the past, and is a great homie of ours. And he redid our original logo from our first Eat Lead release, and he just did it in his style, and we're like, fuck it, just slap that on there, bro. I think it'd be sick.
Dressed it up a lot. It was good.
Yeah.
You were talking about Berserk. Do y'all bring anything from like pop culture or like anime into y'all's songs, lyrics, riffs?
Um, I wouldn't say into the songs,
Mm-hmm.
but we've definitely done some shit like that. Like, there's a whole thing that like Mexicans like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And I would say the stereotype's pretty fucking accurate. I'm
No,
Mexican.
that's an accurate
I fucking love
stereotype.
Dragon Ball Z. And we had a homie who did our fucking backdrop. We played this RBS Fest a few weeks ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
and or that last month, and I dead ass told the homies like, yo, what should we make the art? And then the homie Gerald was like, yo, we should do Dragon Ball Z, side shows, weed, and lowriders. And I was like, I'm down. I was like, I'm down, just do that. And I think also diamonds everywhere.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that was we've done that. We've like, I guess we did the Dragon Ball thing there. So that would be the pop culture.
I mean, we've done the
Uh,
Dragon Ball thing before. We've put like Dragon Ball clips in the back, and you know, I'd even argue against that it isn't in our songs at all because the promo artwork
oh, that's
is
right.
just a frame. It's a still. It's a panel from Hajime no Ippo, like a boxing manga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Word.
I mean, go
What?
ahead, Gavin.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, do y'all have any upcoming tours, any shows y'all plan on doing anytime soon that y'all kind of maybe want to announce?
We do. You
Yeah.
know, we have a lot of plans right now. Nothing concrete, nothing that we're ready. No solid dates we're ready to announce just yet. But you know, towards the end of the year, look out because we have some stuff planned, and we're definitely looking to hit up the Northwest and the Southwest for sure. Definitely Texas.
Yeah,
Nice.
make your way down here, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Down
Oh,
here.
dude,
we
we're
will.
we're all trying to
San
get it
Antonio,
get
Houston.
together. It's the move. We're definitely trying to travel because we've
Mhm.
been now that we have this album out, it's like I think it's a perfect opportunity to
For
start
sure. Grow your
moving.
following.
I mean, so I definitely do want to Mob to Texas. Shout out the homies in Lie. They're pretty dope.
Yeah,
Dope
man. I
Yeah,
saw
dude.
them with
Right
Killing
out here.
Flesh, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, and
sick, dude. Hell
they're
yeah.
awesome.
Hell yeah. That's hella raw.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, y'all played the RBS Fest. How was that? I mean, you guys played with like Out of Pocket, Snuffed on Sight. I mean, Tsunami. You got all those bands from the Bay. I mean, that had to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
It was
dude.
fucking sick.
It was insane, dude. It was dope. Shout out the homie Danny. And shout out all of our fucking friends, really. A
Yeah,
lot of our
shout out
friends, a
Ace
lot of our
too.
friends got to play. Yeah, shout out Ace. Yeah, shout out all our friends. Um, it was dope, man. Like it was one of the fucking sickest like festivals that I've ever been to. And it was dope. I think LDB was happening around the same time, if I'm not mistaken.
Definitely. And
Um,
and they they messaged Danny and it's like, yo, you like blew us out of the water with at least with the lineup. I mean,
Oh yeah.
um, I think I think the whole RBS Fest thing was really, at least for me, like it meant a lot because I feel like it and it meant a lot to a lot of people, obviously, but
Yeah,
it definitely cemented that like the Bay Area now has
for sure.
become like through like what our energy and the people at Cross Thread have been doing. It proves that it's like we have a very like active scene, lot of very dedicated like people in the scene and whatnot. So, you know even if it's like a sleeper bill on a Tuesday night, kids will pull up. If it's a big ass show on a Friday night or a Saturday, kids will pull up. If it's like, everyone's got work the next morning and it's Sunday and it's like kind of like a mixed-ish bill, like kids will pull up. Like they'll pull up to anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And another kind of follow-up question with the festivals, if y'all could collaborate or play a show with any band, past or present, who would it be? Who would you think y'all's band collide with the best and just work with? Who would y'all want to play with?
25 for life.
um, sheesh. I'll say this. I've played with a lot of great bands that I've always wanted to play with. I got to play with Bulldoze.
True.
Got to
We
play
got to
with
play with
Madball.
E-Town,
We
E-Town
got to play with
Concrete.
E-Town Concrete. We got to play with motherfucking we got to play with Dummies and Tsunami. I was really
Mhm.
fucking
Yeah.
dope. I just played with I played with Terra pretty recently with my other band Adjudicator out of Oakland. Pretty recently that was dope. And we've actually got an upcoming show with Shattered Realm.
And that's huge
It's
because
pretty big
for
for us.
me, that's always been like Shattered Realm has always been like one of my going into doing Monos, it was one of my biggest influences, like both vocally and also like music wise. I really wanted to kind of infuse some of that. Just
Definitely.
music that you can like beat people's asses to, pretty
If
much.
there's one band I got to play with, bro, that I want to play with, that I probably will never be able to play with is actually RIP Gulch, bro.
Yeah, rest in peace, bro.
RIP Gulch. I wanted to play with Gulch forever. But that's the homie Elliot. Shout out Elliot, bro. He actually put us on he put my old band on a lot of cool punk shit back like a few years ago, so it was dope. But maybe some other bands I would say we put with Pain and Truth, they're fucking raw as fuck.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Um
we did. We got to play with Mind Force. That was dope.
Mind Force
Honestly,
is
I
sick.
one band I really like it is like Pipe Dream Band, but because I see them kind of making a comeback over on the East Coast again. They're starting
Oh,
to play like a
Queensway or
handful of
who?
shows here and there. What?
Queensway or who?
Well, not Queensway. I would fucking love to play with
Yeah,
Queensway,
they're
but I'm
dope.
talking about Homicidal
Oh shit, okay, okay.
because Mike from Bulldoze, it's his band, and he's been a lot more active. He joined Hold My Own and stuff. And so Homicidal's been playing more shows. Like they have a handful of gigs out on the East Coast, and then they're playing something in Chicago, I think, for a fest. And so as like just pipe dream, if we got to play with them, that would be so sick.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
For sure. Um, if you could throw your own mini festival, what's it gonna be called, and who would you have on that bill?
Uh,
Crash
no,
Chat Fest.
we actually did do a fest like
Okay.
on May 10th. We did a little fest actually. So it's called 510 Fest. The area code is the 510. It's the East Bay. Um, and I threw my homies band Four Winds Away. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Four Winds Away, but they're metalcore band from the East Bay. Also we had Forced to Suffer from San Jose.
Okay.
We had my other band Adjudicator from Oakland. We had this homies band Dogfight from out of Oakland and or Richmond. Um, where else? Who else we have? We had our friends band Choking Game from Oakland, and we had the homies Lolo homies and Rex Kwando. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what part of the East Bay they're from actually, but they're like a pretty upcoming young band. I fuck with them. And who else played that? I'm trying to think. Oh, and Iron Front played that actually too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We did a little homie fest. It was really dope.
Mhm.
And then I mentioned this New Year's show earlier in the interview, but we did that. It was also like a homie fest too, and it was like a super DIY big ass show in San Francisco. And it it was like 600 people pulled up, and it was also for
Yeah,
our friends in
Lear.
Doomsday.
Yeah, Doomsday.
The Snuffed on Site played it. They played
Okay,
it.
Snuffed on
that's
Sight played,
badass.
and Snuffed on Sight
CDC
and
played it.
CDC played it.
Yeah, it was a really crazy lineup. Actually, it's pretty cracked. So we've got to do. I've got to do some homie shows like Lil Fest, and they were really cracked. They were really dope.
Oh,
For
yeah,
sure,
dude.
for sure. What do y'all enjoy when you're not making music?
Let's Kane, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I'll answer that one. You know, personally, I when I'm not making music, I don't know, I really like food is a big thing for all of us. Like not only just like I love to cook, but there's also the element of just like the reviewing food and the ranking food and then just like say like going to different spots and shit, just being fat as shit.
I'll
That's kind of
say
the
that when we're not writing music together, we're getting really drunk and
oh
smoking
yeah, that's a big
weed and
we're
crashing
big
out
pressure
every
smokers.
weekend. And
It's basically, I mean, it's
crash
like
out every
you
fucking
asked
weekend. And there's a show
you
every
asked
fucking night.
earlier you asked earlier about if we had any rituals before shows and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And the only thing I could possibly tell you that we do before every show is get fucked up.
Yeah. That's what's up.
We're the ones burning out the spot.
Yeah, bro. We'd be like, fuck you, green hairs. Don't fucking burn out the spot. Don't do that shit. Mind you, I'm around the corner getting hella fucked up and doing
Yeah.
blizzards probably.
Catch this fool at the next Monos gig with a big ass tank.
There you go. Have y'all ever tried those giant like leaf blower things where for like
Dude.
fucking grass? Have you seen what I'm talking
Ooh.
about?
Yeah,
Y'all should
I
do
know
that for
exactly
y'all's
what you're
next
talking
show.
about. We
That'll
gotta
be
we gotta
fucking
we
ready.
gotta we gotta get all the straight edge kids contact high at the next show.
Yeah.
Just kind of like stand in the front and like
Blow them in the fucking blower, dude.
That would be sick to see live. That was similar when me and him actually saw like Cypress Hill. That's pretty much
Oh,
what
yeah.
Oh,
happened to
yeah.
us.
Sick. Y'all seen Cypress Hill?
Oh
We
yeah.
saw him at Rockville.
What the
Yeah, we were
fuck?
on the
Hella
barricade,
raw.
dude, and it was super cool,
right on the
man.
barricade. That's
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
raw.
We
as
waited.
Yeah,
We
and
waited
that's
like 5 hours on that barricade, dude. Just waiting.
We were there for a while, but as soon as you heard like that bass kick in,
Oh, yeah.
immediately the whole area filled up with smoke. Like it was like nothing we've ever been to or
That
seen
sounds
before.
lit as fuck.
Oh,
Yeah, it
dude,
was
it
cool.
was fucking
It's
sick.
probably one of the best shows I've seen besides Black Sabbath live, man.
Yeah, dude,
Oh, that
that's
sounds raw too. What the hell? I fuck
that
with
sounds
Black
raw as
Sabbath.
fuck.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
seen some sick ass shows, but that
Yeah,
festival
man.
was definitely pretty dope.
Was it like Ozfest or something?
It's by Danny Weimer Presents,
Oh,
and they do them all over. So they do like Louder Than Life. Sonic Temple just happened.
okay.
Rockville, and they just get like 95 to 150 bands for 4 days.
That's
And
fucking
it's
insane.
just
Yeah.
cool to see the community come together and everyone enjoying. I mean, things from slam, metalcore, punk rock, everything all together. You know,
All the old
Yeah,
school
no,
metal and
it's
stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
everything. I mean, you could have
Yeah,
Cannibal
everything.
Corpse, and then you could have
Cypress Hill.
Cypress
Oh,
Hill
yeah.
the next set. You know,
Wait, who's playing Sound and Fury again? Is it Project Pat?
It's Project Pat.
That's hard, bro.
That
That's hella hard.
I'm so mad that I'm missing. Like I actually livid that I'm not going to be there for that.
That's fucking as fuck.
I have more. Unfortunately, I have more important things to do. But it's whatever.
It is what it is, man.
Oh yeah.
sure.
Well, we're kind of coming to like a close with our questions. Is there any social medias that y'all want to shout out, personal bands, other projects, anything like that? Just
For sure. Manos de Fierro 510 on Instagram. We're on Instagram. Find us on all the streaming platforms. The self-titled album Manos de Fierro is out right now. Shout out RNRG on Instagram, Crossthread, all the homies who are involved with that, putting on for the Bay Area, putting on hella shows, booking stuff. Yeah, shout out Live from Texas, the homies. Shout out Cable too.
It's
They're
motherfucking. It's motherfucking
Desmadre.
shout out EBTH, bro. It's motherfucking shout out East Bay. It's motherfucking
Shout out
shout out
EBTH.
Ashley, bro. It's motherfucking
Real
shout
510
out
shit.
shout out Jerry. Shout out homie Jerry and Nick. Shout out all the fucking homies, bro. Fucking
Shout out
if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't-
Eli and Max and Bobby.
Yeah, fucking shout out Jarelium, shout out Teo, bro. Shout out all the fucking all the boys, bro. So yeah, sheesh.
Cool. Word. Hell
Thank
yeah.
you.
We appreciate y'all coming on. Is there anything that you have for us? Maybe one last thing y'all want to throw out there? Any upcoming news maybe that hasn't been heard? Anything like that?
Sheesh, good question, bro.
Nothing
Honestly,
groundbreaking, man. I mean, we're playing with Lion Cable and Desmadre, and well, when they're on tour, we're playing with them in Santa Cruz. But I mean, that's already, we already dropped that
we've
flyer.
we've
I
got
don't think
that
Yeah.
there's.
show, and we've got that Shattered Realm gig in Victory Stables in Oakland, August 16th. And we're ready to rock that shit. It's gonna be fun as fuck.
Yeah, just go listen to the album. That's all.
Listen,
That's
yeah,
all I'd say.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Actually, everybody should listen to that album. I think it's a good listen.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir, for sure.
Well, we appreciate y'all coming
Yep.
in,
We appreciate
showing
it.
out, showing love for the community and everything like that. So appreciate it. Thanks for being on.
Hell
Of
yeah!
course. Thank you, guys.
Shout out EBTH though.
Sick, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Hell
you.
yeah. Like,
Later.